Welcome to Production Diary #1 of the Pendragon cycle. We're going to invite you on with us, show you how we're doing things, show you behind the scenes. 140 unit production days, 70 days on the calendar. And I know that everybody had a different journey that brought them here. For me, it started over 25 years ago. I was sitting in a little rundown apartment in North Hollywood. Didn't even know what rights were, but I knew that the books, the Pendragon cycle by Stephen Lawhead, had really impacted me. And here we all stand once again with this beautiful work in our hands and the opportunity to bring it to life.
And then the biggest retcon of all, the one that actually matters, and that answers why Rey is cool, right? It answers the biggest question. Why is Rey even a thing? And the answer is because she's Palpatine's granddaughter, which is fantastic. Okay, that's a great reveal.
So, hello everyone from just the hellscape that is planet Earth right now. I've made a lot of videos, of course, on the situation in Palestine, and I'll probably make another video about it tomorrow. And I guess I don't even really feel like making any videos at the moment, but I've been wanting to make this video last couple of days, so let's just go for it. It's about the Daily Wire's new film output, or I guess just entertainment output, because they have a new kids TV app with a new Snow White movie starring Brett Cooper and a bunch of new cartoons. And then we have, I think it's a TV series, but they kept calling it a movie at one point, so I don't know what's going on here. But it's one about King Arthur they're making as well. And they've been making loads of little behind-the-scenes documentary type videos. And Jeremy Boring, who's like the co-founder and co-CEO of the Daily Wire with Ben Shapiro, is taking a break from pushing out fash propaganda to make a film or a TV show about King Arthur. Now, we've talked about on this channel about how, you know, terrible a lot of the output has been from the Daily Wire in terms of entertainment. There have been a couple movies, haven't watched any of them, but of course the most famous was, I think it was called Terror on the Prairie, starring Gina Carano, which made no money when it came out in theatres, apart from in a couple in Russia. Don't know how well it did on their own streaming platform, and by and large, most reviews said it was pretty terrible, and you also had some backlash from conservatives calling the film woke, because it starred a female main character. And today what I wanted to do was just look at the new 3 projects from the Daily Wire and just talk about them. And I used this quote the other day, I don't know what the context was. The Daily Wire has more failed artists than the Third Reich, to paraphrase Don Draper in Mad Men. And I think that's very fitting in that you have all these people who seem to have a background in Hollywood, Brett Cooper and Jeremy Boring being 2 of them, and then they have a career in fash propaganda, and then they kind of come round to having a career in acting and directing again. And yeah, just going to talk about all of that today. Hope maybe this is a nice way to turn your brain off from just all the horrible shit that's happening. I know I've really struggled with it over the last 2 or so weeks. And I don't think I've ever been so doomer-pilled in my whole life. Like, it's just depressing realising everyone is a bloodthirsty savage on the side of imperialism and colonialism. Seemingly the most like average liberal celebrities are all just turning into this guy when it comes to the issue of Palestine. But yeah, if you want to keep up to date with me going crazy, follow me on my social medias, and thanks for the support on Patreon recently. But yeah, go check out the Patreon if you want to support my work. And let's just get into the rest of the video now. So yeah, recently they've made loads of press releases about new stuff coming out of the Daily Wire, and you guys would have probably seen this the most. We'll play you a little bit of the trailer, hopefully without getting a strike from the Daily Wire, but then I'll talk about this film quick.
Once upon a time, in time a prince would come. Once upon a time, but now that time is gone.
I don't even know why anyone keeps remaking Snow White. Just go watch the cartoon version. That's good enough. But anyway, I think it was pretty clear that Brett Cooper only works for the Daily Wire because she's a failed actress, right? Like, her whole aesthetic is completely fake. I hate how all the news reports about this are acting like she's a self-made YouTuber. She's literally like a Daily Wire propagandist, fake streamer, fake Gen Z YouTuber. She has like 6 people working on her channel when she's filming. She doesn't do anything herself apart from just say stuff that they probably tell her to say, right? And it's clear it's because her career in Hollywood wasn't doing so well. She was in that TV version of Heathers, and I think that's about it. So now she's Snow White in the Daily Wire. I think that's, you know, a great career move. So let's just read an article about it and read a bit of what Miss Shapiro has said about all this. So, conservative media company, the Daily Wire, announced it's making a live-action Snow White movie following the right-wing backlash over Disney's upcoming live-action Snow White trailer. Jeremy Boring said, "It's a story about a princess and a prince." I never knew that. "About beauty and vanity, about love and its power to raise us from death to life. It's our own adaptation of an ancient fairy tale." And this is actually part of their new app for children called Bentkey, which we're going to talk about a bit later with the cartoons. "It's taken 100 years to build Disney," Boring added. "We know we aren't what Disney is today, but we hope in time we might become what they were. Once upon a time, a little studio with big ideas and the courage to chase them. While Disney still uses Walt's name, they have all but abandoned his legacy." Brett Cooper saying, "I was raised on the original Grimm's fairy tales, so I'm thrilled we're bringing this iconic story to life for the next generation. Snow White is such a beautiful character, and I'm honoured to be playing her. Like all the best fairy tales, it's a story with timeless values like love, friendship, and kindness, and I can't wait to share them." This move follows Disney's upcoming live-action remake of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, which has generated a culture war controversy. Conservative critics took issue with the casting of Latina star Rachel Zegler as a character described in the original fairy tale as having skin as white as snow, and the production changing the titular Seven Dwarfs into a diverse collection of magical creatures of varying sizes and genders. The 22-year-old Zegler caused a stir when a flurry of her comments from late last year resurfaced over the summer that suggested she didn't like the original film and that the new movie would take a very different approach to the iconic character. "She's not going to be dreaming about true love, she's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be, and the leader that her late father told her that she could be if she was fearless, fair, brave, and true. People are making these jokes about ours being the PC Snow White, where it's like, yeah, it is because it needed that. The original was extremely dated when it comes to the ideas of women being in the roles of power and what a woman is fit for in the world. The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Weird, so we didn't want to do it this time." Brett Cooper had some other comments. When a fan inquired about Brett Cooper's acting experience in Hollywood versus working at the Daily Wire, she responded, "In a lot of ways it's very similar. The caliber is very similar. The attitude of production is similar. The caliber of the people we're working with is up to par. I would argue even better than what we're doing. But as an actor, it's so freeing to work with the Daily Wire because I don't feel like I'm censoring myself at all. And the company isn't trying to appease anybody or check any boxes like Hollywood does now." So, anti-woke Snow White coming from the Daily Wire, which will probably be trash and, you know, will probably be pretty safe, just a pretty standard children's movie, it seems like. And are the Daily Wire just going to become those, like, terrible, not Disney DVDs that used to come out at the same time as the Disney movies to try and capitalize on the buzz around them? Because that's what it seems like they're doing. Because, yeah, personally, I don't care for any Disney remakes or any cartoons I used to watch in my childhood because I like animated stuff anyway. I don't feel like it needs to be updated. Like, who seriously wanted a live-action version of The Lion King? And if I'm on a bit of a rant about live-action Disney, if you're going to remake anything in live action, can you please just do Atlantis or Treasure Planet? Like, stuff people would probably want to see in live action. Underrated movies that were actually, like, really cool as a kid and stuff. I want to see that in live action. I want to see Treasure Planet. So Disney, make that happen instead of this trash. But yeah, I guess what Rachel Zegler is saying is right as well. Like, all these old movies have certain tropes. But at the same time, does the idea of, you know, liberal feminist Snow White excite me? Like, not really. I just don't really care about it. But yeah, that's the Daily Wire getting into kids movies, I guess. And I just don't know where all this money comes from, to be honest. Like, throwing £50 million contracts at Stephen Crowder and then making loads of movies. Seems like they just have a bottomless pit of money. Moving on, they're trying to be a bit more serious, and you'll probably see that from the footage and like the behind the scenes documentary stuff that I hope I can share for you while I'm talking about this. And that is the new King Arthur series they're making based on this book. So this came out earlier this year, but Daily Wire Plus to start production on the Pendragon cycle. Jeremy Boring will take leave of absence as co-CEO to direct the series. So it does seem to be a series, but although I read stuff from him saying it was a movie, so I don't know if they've changed this mid-production, but it's a scripted series adaptation of the reimagined historical fantasy books based on King Arthur, the Pendragon cycle, the multi-award winning series written by Stephen R. Lawhead. Jeremy Boring will direct the 7-episode first season with co-director Ryan Whitaker, who hasn't done anything really, neither has Jeremy Boring. So the company also announced he'll be taking a temporary leave of absence from his role as the co-CEO of the Daily Wire and all its affiliated entities. I have dreamt of bringing Stephen R. Lawhead's books to the screen for 25 years, said Boring, based on perhaps the most impactful myth in Western tradition, the legend of King Arthur. This series helped shape my worldview since reading it as a teenager, so I guess the books are full of fascist propaganda then. Yet it is bittersweet, as to bring this project to screen means to leave the country and temporarily step down from my role as the co-CEO of the Daily Wire. Pendragon Cycle is a unique retelling of the Arthurian legend, set not in the high medieval age of knights in shining armour, but in the wake of a Roman-occupied Britain, where the seeds of Christianity are beginning to take root in the face of spiritual and physical darkness. As barbarian invaders threaten to lay claim to the island of the mighty, only those with faith in the true God will prevail. Boring, Robinson, and Ben Shapiro are executive producing, so you know it'll be trash. Now, I was looking at what Jeremy Boring had done in movies, and the only thing that's notable is a film called Spiral. So someone let me know if you've seen this, because it stars Joel David Moore, who was in the Avatar movies, and Zachary Levi, who's of course conservative, but he was Shazam as well. I don't know if it's any good, but apparently he was one of the main writers on that. And then he has his own movie called Arroyo. A landowner in southern Arizona, tired of seeing drug smugglers across the border for his property, decides to fight back. And no reviews, no notable cast members, so I don't honestly know if this guy has any talent for this sort of stuff, but hopefully I can show you right now. So maybe people talking about this.
140 unit production days, 70 days on the calendar. And I know that everybody had a different journey that brought him here. For me, it started over 25 years ago. I was sitting in a little rundown apartment in North Hollywood. Didn't even know what rights were, but I knew that the books, The Pendragon Cycle by Stephen Lawhead, had really impacted me. And here we all stand once again with this beautiful work in our hands and the opportunity to bring it to life. Let's make a movie.
Yay! Woo! 3, 2, 1, action!
So what we're shooting right now is the attack on the Maridunum gates. So all of these Saxon warriors here are crashing the gates, they're going over the ladders, and then there's a huge clash in the fight. So that's what we're filming right now. It's looking awesome. We got all the different cameras in here. So far, so good.
Maridunum battle sequence, it's just classic battle. Guys on foot, guys on horseback, meeting in the middle, clashing together.
This fight is most about like desperation and the white swinging and the chaos in the middle of the battle.
So it seems like this is going for like a legit production, like, you know, something like Vikings or maybe something like The Last Kingdom. I don't know about the budget exactly. Like, it looks like it has a fair bit of money behind it. All those horses, all the extras. It does seem like they're chucking a decent, you know, amount behind it. And like I said, I don't know where they get all this money from. And it just seems like they've had to make their own alternative media, not because, like they say, they want to promote conservative values and they can't do that in Hollywood. I think it's just because they're so untalented. This is literally just the way around it. Like, you have to start your own media company and make your own stuff. And through pushing fascist propaganda for over a decade now, they've made enough money to start making movies based on stuff that I guess we're kind of bored of seeing movies about, like how much King Arthur stuff is out there. There was recently that one with Jude Law in it, and then there was stuff when I was growing up with like Keira Knightley in it, and then you have the TV show Merlin, which was okay to be fair, fairly low budget. It is a story that has obviously been done a lot in media. The one thing that's interesting to me actually, when I was reading that, obviously a conservative group are making this, and they're focusing on King Arthur as opposed to like maybe the Anglo-Saxon period of Britain, because if you guys don't know the King Arthur myth, it's from the period where the Anglo-Saxons and other Germanic tribes from Europe came over to England and settled and conquered. And of course, so many conservatives love Anglo-Saxon identity. The focus on Christianity is a bit weird if you know about the history of Christianity in Britain, only because although Christianity was present in Britain in this period, it was only with Gregory, who started converting a lot of people in the south, that Christianity really became the dominant religion across the whole of England. But again, I haven't read these books, so maybe they do have a big religious slant on them, and maybe I'm not as familiar with the story of King Arthur as I thought I was. But yeah, I mean, it would probably be passable as trash TV. Do I expect this to be anything special? With a guy who doesn't have much experience of doing anything, if you go on the IMDb page, everyone is either a newcomer or everyone has just starred in things you've never heard of. So it's clear they can't attract the top talent, and I expect it's two things. They're probably keeping costs down by not hiring actual famous people, but then I guess a lot of people who are more liberally inclined at least would see the Daily Wire making this and feel like, you know, I'm not going to work with these guys, especially if you're American and you're aware of the background, because it seems like a lot of the cast are actually from the UK, so maybe they're just looking for their big break in America. You're getting hired by an American film company, you think it's great. So yeah, something else I think will be trash. I'm not the target audience, so maybe American conservatives will absolutely love this retelling of King Arthur. Now, going back to the Snow White thing, it's coming out on this like revamped version of Daily Wire Kids, which isn't creepy at all. And Jeremy Boren just put this out this week, I believe. So I want to talk about this before talking about their new children's cartoons, which have just ripped off other children's cartoons.
The Daily Wire announced that we would spend $100 million over 3 years to begin our own kids' entertainment company. I'm proud to announce the launch of Bent Key, an entirely new company from the Daily Wire, a company dedicated to creating the next generation of timeless stories that transport kids into a world of adventure, imagination, and joy. Why the name Bent Key? Why not DW Kids, as we've been calling the initiative for the last year? Well, put simply, DW Kids is just too political. Bent Key isn't about teaching kids politics. It's about childhood and wonder and adventure. It's about values and all of the things on which politics are built later. We didn't just come up with a new name, though. We built an entirely new app that's available on all the most popular devices. There are over 100 episodes available right now today on the Bent Key app, and there will be new episodes released every single Saturday morning. We have Chipchilla, the first show we ever announced for the platform, now fully realized. Chipchilla is about a family of chinchillas who homeschool, a mom and a dad who create a world of excitement where little Chip and Charla and baby Chubbly discover everything from world history to classic books and how to care for others. It's a celebration of a deeply loving family that has a blast learning all of life's lessons.
So, of course, the irony isn't lost on anyone watching this that conservatives have been crying for years now about the indoctrination of children. Please don't indoctrinate my children in woke ideology. Please don't indoctrinate my child in gender ideology. Let kids be kids. But now two of the biggest media organizations, PragerU and the Daily Wire, are literally indoctrinating children in conservatism. And as we all know, conservatives are hypocrites, massive hypocrites, and often pointing out the hypocrisy does nothing because, you know, they fundamentally know it. They just use it as an argument because they want to do that to children because they want more conservative people. And they realise also as well, a lot of these conservatives, I'm not sure what the Daily Wire's audience is. I imagine it's, you know, older to say the least. But they realise most of Gen Z are disillusioned with capitalism. They are more left-leaning. They are more progressive on most issues. And that includes even recently the Palestine stuff. So they probably feel like, you know, how do we stop this tide? How do we stop people growing up in a terrible world destroyed by conservative politics and conservative economics, and how do we get them to think this world is actually great? Let's try and get them early with knockoff versions of their favourite cartoons, and hopefully we'll indoctrinate them in conservatism. And honestly, you know, if they make money licensing these things out, maybe if the Daily Wire Plus fails, maybe there's money to be made. I just can't see these things being successful. Americans in the comments who grew up maybe conservative, do you think your parents would have cared enough to buy a subscription to Daily Wire Plus if it was around and show you all these terrible shows, make you watch conservative Snow White and conservative Bluey? I honestly just don't think conservatives even care that much. As much as they cry about Disney stuff, I honestly don't think they're going to swap it out for this stuff. Mainly because, as well, you don't want to be the parent, maybe, who makes your kid watch something weird while all the other kids are just going out to watch Disney movies like we always have done, right? Like, if I was the only kid growing up who wasn't allowed to watch Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! Or stuff on Disney Channel because I was being forced to watch, I don't know, Christian Catholic television, then yeah, I would be pretty mad at my parents that I was being isolated. So yeah, it seems like the Daily Wire just have a infinite money glitch somewhere to keep pumping out terrible movies. The only thing that I would love is if these vanity projects from Jeremy Boring, Ben Shapiro and others bankrupt the company. Don't know if that's ever going to happen, but I would absolutely love it. And it's just funny to me, like, these guys can't succeed anywhere. Brett Cooper, Jeremy Boring, Ben Shapiro, Michael Knowles. So they have to join a fascist propaganda network, do their service in the propaganda business before maybe doing a movie or something. And I guess Brett Cooper was probably always promised a movie, and that's why she signed on it in the first place. So anyway, that is it for the video. Trying to have a little break from the horror of everything. I will be making another video this week about that. And yeah, if you made it this far, thank you for watching.